Hi everyone, this is Joseph coming back again to us, greeting you in the name above every other name, the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Son of God. This is an Easter Tuesday, and it has been my desire to be able to use the available technology for us to be able to hold meetings together and be in a position to listen to one another and have contributions when we do a meeting. And I've realized that it's not easy. I have been trying to do Zoom, and I don't know what's wrong with my phone. Therefore, I've not been able to get my hearers here. But I think it's only because it's the beginning. But sooner or later, we are going to overcome that. Just before we close the day, and here in Nairobi, I'm considered to be in the metro city, and in the metro city we have a curfew. We do not move out of our homes at 7 p.m. East African time. So just before I arrive home, I have decided to just share on an Easter Tuesday something concerning a week ago when we were celebrating Jesus Christ having had a triumphant entry to Jerusalem. But you realize that he was not very welcomed, because even on Monday he was very hungry. And he looked for some fruit on a fig tree that was seemingly a very good tree, very leafy and green, but it didn't have something for him to eat. And he cursed the tree. And then on their way back, excuse me, as we find it in the book of Matthew chapter number 17, the disciples realized that the tree had withered, and they told him, "Lord, see, the tree that you cursed has withered." That was on a Tuesday, like today. And then he said something that is very, very important to me right now, because Jesus taught them a timeless principle. And the principle is, if anyone has faith as little as a mustard seed, a grain of a mustard seed. Now that is very important, because we have been taught like we need a mountain of faith to be able to move a mountain. But Jesus taught it so well that you need a mustard seed faith to move a mountain. And now, as I was looking at how it has been coined to talk about mountain movers, it took me back to the days of the exile to Babylon. And then in that time, when someone became very spiritually innovative, and he was able to get to understand how to solve insurmountable problems that looked like great mountains that cannot be moved, it was said that they were mountain movers. So when Jesus talked about moving a mountain, he was referring to a people that became like the rabbis, who are well versed with the scriptures, and they applied the scriptures to get understanding as to how problems could be solved. And therefore, every problem solver, according to the scriptures, then became a mountain mover. So Jesus here is saying that all the problems of the world that are insurmountable, like great mountains, can be moved by someone who understood a spiritual principle. And the principle here is not a mountain of faith, but a small amount of faith, even as small as the grain of a mustard seed, can move a great mountain. In this regard, now, I'm here to say that regardless of how the world seems to be coming to a very difficult time, because already many countries in the world are facing a very difficult time. Families are facing very difficult time. There are people who are locked up, like us in Nairobi, to the point that it's like there are some families right now, though they were living from hand to mouth, right now they don't know how they are going to put dinner this evening to their loved ones. And therefore, it is a big mountain to climb. The government looks at the challenge of the COVID-19, and therefore it's like another very great challenge and a mountain. But with faith, all things are possible. So this is my desire, even as I now move on towards home, to let our people know that there is hope. There is hope, which Paul says it does not disappoint us. You can become a mountain mover, just as Jesus said, if you have faith as little as a mustard seed, you can move a big mountain. One of the mountains that Jesus could have been referring to, I understand, he could have been referring to the mount called Hermon. Mount Hermon, I understand that it is the mountain, according to the book of Enoch, that he said the fallen angels were swearing on what they are going to do with the daughters of men. And that takes me back to the book of Genesis, that there were the sons of God who looked at daughters of men and desired them. And therefore, in their fallen nature, they made Mount Hermon, therefore, according to Enoch, the mountain of evil. And if Jesus was referring to that mountain, then we need to move the mountain of evil from our way, because he did not mean that we go to the physical mountains and get them moving. But whatever a mountain can be representing that is not godly should be moved. So evil should be moved. Again, there are people who believe that he was also maybe referring to Mount of Olives. Now, Mount of Olives, I understand, also represents unbelief. And therefore, he did not mean that Mount Olive should be moved, but what it represents, unbelief. And therefore, it is now upon us to move the mountain of unbelief. But again, there are people who believe that Jesus was not referring to that, but to the great mountain of law. Because law was given through Mount Sinai, it is possible that when people were looking at the law and trying to move mountains through the law, and the law did not make it, then he was saying, because by faith, through grace, we get by faith our salvation, then by faith we can move the mountain of law. And what the law could not achieve can be achieved through grace by faith. And therefore, right now, our greatest challenge, I believe, is to move those mountains. But Jesus said that they can be moved by as little faith as a mustard seed. Let's ponder on that, and we look forward to continue with these discussions and how we can have hope. Because what the government cannot do, faith can do. What an institution cannot do, faith can do. What medicine cannot do, faith can do. What research and education cannot do, faith can do. What that man in that family who is a breadwinner cannot do, faith can do. Because we shall not look upon man, and we shall not walk by what we see or hear, because mostly what we see and hear mainly comes from the natural, and what is seen is not real. What is not seen is real. Actually, right now we are fighting with something that cannot be seen with the naked eye, the virus. And so, here is a lesson that even what is not seen is more real, and therefore, what is not seen can be fought by what is not seen. Therefore, we can fight the principalities and powers behind the COVID-19. And therefore, we declare that our nations, our families, our institutions are not going to be ruled by fear, but by faith. And again, fear has been said to be an acronym representing fear, meaning falsehood that is seen to appear real, and therefore it is not, and therefore what is real is faith. And therefore, let's look into that and see what God has for us. Have faith in God, for our faith gives us hope. And Paul told us that faith that gives us hope that does not disappoint us. So we will not be disappointed. Good evening, good morning, whatever time it is in your geographical area. Have peace of God in your mind, in your spirit, in your soul, in your emotions, and in your body. If you are sick, it's not the end of the road. Be healed, for by faith, healing is available. Thank you. See you again later.